And I invite you to take a deep breath. As I welcome you to the Oakland Center for Spiritual Living, I'm Reverend Dr. Sunshine Michelle Coleman, the proud spiritual director and senior minister of this center, and I welcome you into our space and into our home for this blessed occasion where we get to celebrate graduates who are, you'll hear more about that shortly, right? So with that, we begin our procession. Reverend J. Lang, Napa Valley Center for Spiritual Living. Reverend Dr. Edward Villon, Senior Minister, Santa Rosa Center for Spiritual Living. Reverend Dr. Linda Rapon, retired, Ashland, Oregon. Reverend Kimberly Hawkins, Center for Spiritual Living, Rogue Valley. Reverend Catherine Sachs, Staff Minister, Oakland Center for Spiritual Living. Reverend Jerry Carter, Staff Minister, Oakland Center for Spiritual Living. Reverend D. Jacqueline Edwards, East Bay Church of Religious Science. Reverend Sharon Dunn, Senior Minister, Sacramento Center for Spiritual Living. Reverend Stephanie Clark, CSL, Rogue Valley, Oregon. Reverend Verona Garland, Staff Minister, CSL Palm Springs, Assistant Minister, Agape, Bay Area. Reverend Jerry Hobby, Spiritual Enlightenment and Truth Focus Ministry, Gridley, California. Reverend Julia Robles Scott, Bridge Minister, Sierra, CSL. Reverend Sonia Russell, Heart and Soul Center of Light. Reverend Kimberly Bebow, CSL, Rogue Valley. Reverend Carolyn Douglas, Senior Minister and Spiritual Director, CSL Peninsula. Ministerial student, Laura Stewart. Oh, no, I'm sorry. No, I'm sorry. I see you there. My apologies. Come on through. They're students. Yes, there we go. My apologies. I don't want to mix that up because this is a special moment for them to parade down the aisle. Our graduates, Laura Stewart, Allie Hutchinson, Teresa Lynn Gardner, Paul Michael Domalaski, Teresa Jenkins. You may all be seated, and those of you who have come in may come take your seats, and then I will say a prayer to open us up. I invite you inward, whatever that looks like. If you'd like to close your eyes gently or Gaze upon our beautiful stained glass window, whatever is comfortable. And at your own pace, take 3 nice deep breaths to center yourself in your seat. Let yourself arrive. Allow yourself to be present. Here in this special moment of life, the very breath is the essence of life, of the divine that is flowing through us and all around us. And it is the heartbeat of life itself. It is infinite in its expanse. It is creative. It is joy, love, peace, harmony, clarity, all the things that we know, abundance, all the good, all the great, all the glorious, grace, peace, ease. And we breathe, as we breathe that in and allow anything unlike it to simply float away. And as we bring ourselves fully present here into this moment, I bless this time together where we can honor these graduates from the School of Spiritual Leadership and the Holmes Institute of Center for Spiritual Living, honoring their work, their dedication, their surrender, their release, their divine yes, their answering the call to life. Blessing everyone who has supported them, family, friends, spiritual community, faculty, instructors, colleagues. Blessing this time, knowing divine order, harmony, and grace. Giving thanks for our music, for the words, the rituals, everything that is a part of this ceremony is sacred. So in supreme gratitude, in joy and love, I lift this word knowing it is exalted, it is the truth, and it must unfold the way that I proclaim and better. So all we simply need to do is enjoy. And we anchor this truth together by lifting our voice in praise, by exclaiming, and so it is. Yes, it is.
So I have a song for all the graduates. I see the beauty in you. I see the power in you. I see the greatness in you. And so it is. I see the child in you, and I see the sweetness in you. I see the softness in you, and so it is. And I can see it, it's right there before me, and I can feel it deep in my soul. I just know that each of you are angels, full of magic and power, and pure sweet love. I see the goodness in you, and I see the wisdom in you, and I see the strength in you. Join with me every time and say, and so it is. And I see the joy that's in you, and I see your light shining through, and I see the love that's in you, and so it is. And I can see it, it's right there before me, and I can feel it, it's deep in my soul. I just know that each of you is an angel, full of magic and power, pure sweet love. I see the grace that's in you, and I see the courage in you. I see the heart in you, so it is. And I see the beauty in you, and I see the power in you, and I see the greatness in you, so it is. And I see the beauty in you. Now you guys get to say, I see the beauty in you. I see the power in you. You say, see the power. And I see the greatness in you. I see you guys can even turn to each other and say this. I see the wisdom in you. I see the wisdom in you. And I see the joy that's in you. I see the joy that's in you. I see the light that's in you. I see the light that's in you. And I see the love in you. I see the love in you. And I see the grace in you. I see the grace in you. I see the courage in you. I see the courage in you. I see the heart in you. I see the heart in you. And we take all these words and we just simply say, and so it is. And so it is. Each one of those qualities you each possess. And so it is. And so it is. For you.
Welcome everybody to this official commencement ceremony of the graduation of Holmes Institute School of Spiritual Leadership. I'm Reverend Jay Lang. I'm the Dean of the School of Spiritual Leadership in Napa Valley. It's always a mouthful with our words, isn't it? But I'm so pleased to have everybody here to join in this celebration, this joyous celebration of accomplishment of so much that you've done over the past few years. And I welcome all of you. But I want to begin today by just welcoming and acknowledging that this is sacred land. And this was first consecrated by the first people that lived here. And they knew the oneness and consciousness that is in all life, the connectedness of life. And so we gather today with that same knowing that we are connected in that way. We also want to remember today the lineage of consciousness that we come in, of New Thought, of Centers for Spiritual Living, Religious Science, Science of Mind, which are the influences and teachers of Dr. Ernest Holmes, as well as the teachers and influencers of each of you, that they taught you in your foundational classes, your prerequisites, your practitioner classes, and for our graduates today through Ministerial School and Holmes Institute as well. So we just acknowledge those, as well as you may want to remember today your own ancestors, your personal ancestors that brought you to today, to this very moment. So we acknowledge all of them, and we welcome all of you for being a part of this joyous celebration we have today. Holmes Institute and the School of Spiritual Leadership is really two programs that are merged into one. Holmes Institute is the wisdom and consciousness studies that is done with renowned professors and teachers in the field. And then the School of Spiritual Leadership is at the regional level, of which this group is part of the Napa Valley region. And there they're taught practical skills of being a minister, leadership, management of different of business as well as people, counseling, teaching practices, leading workshops, the different aspects to ministry. By the way, it doesn't include all of it, but it's a nice try. We do our best, as ministers will attest to. But today we have a group of students that collectively, each class has a unique characteristic. And I can speak to this group generally. Later on, there will be introductions of you personally, but in general, you are a group of people who love to ask questions. You're curious, but you're always doing that with, it's a sense of just wanting to go deeper. And that you want to deepen your own knowledge, your own consciousness, and it's always with compassion and kindness. Your theme that's up here that everyone sees is celebrating sacred journeys and opening to the infinite. And I think that's a perfect theme for who you are, that you have stepped forward in this sacred journey with each step of the way. You also were going to school during the pandemic, which is an interesting time to go to school, obviously. But what's interesting for me is that each of you, because it was such an unusual time, you went a little deeper in what you wanted to do with these teachings, to step out into the world in unique ways. And all of you are stepping into that, having unique callings and unique ministries, and that the boundaries and limitations that were possibly on other candidates as they graduated are just, they're gone, they're not there anymore. And so you're willing to step more fully into what is calling you, what is unfolding you without limitations, and I honor you for that. So I ask that all the candidates come up behind the ritual table. If you could come up now. So before you are the 5 graduates. Now on your left is our first graduate, Teresa Jenkins, and she is graduating from the Holmes Institute with a master's degree in consciousness. The other 4 candidates here, the other 4 graduates, Paul Michael Dolmaleski, Teresa Lynn Gardner, Allie Hutchinson, and Laura Ann Stewart, are doing the combination program of both the Holmes Institute and the Schools of Spiritual Leadership, the certificate in Ministerial Education. But I will assure you that all of them are steeped in deep consciousness and deep wisdom that they have learned. And so we are here to honor all 5 of them in this way. Before them is a table full of ritual elements that is full of the elements of the earth, of the earth, of fire, of water, and air. And I think that's important because each of these elements grounds, inspires, renews us in so many ways. So first we have the candle that's before them. And I'm going to ask them to go ahead and light that candle, beginning with Teresa. And we light it from the God candle, which is the center candle, the source candle of all life, that we know that everything comes from the one and emanates from that. So as she lights her candles and the rest of the graduate lights theirs, we know that each one of them is sourced in the divine, in the oneness, and they have their own unique light. We also know as the heat rises, it moves into the air, and it brings us to center and breathes and brings us to the prana of our energy. We know that heat of the candle is also the heat that's in our affirmative prayers, our spiritual mind treatments, the passion we have for our teachings, the fire that is there, the fire that's within us, the passion for all life. So we breathe in this air that is around us, that grounds us. And then also unseen to the community here, there's a crystal there, a quartz crystal. And to me, that symbol is not only a symbol of the earth, but that crystal is formed through a transformative process of heat and pressure. And I think you can attest you've had a little bit of heat and pressure over the past few years. But what it comes through that process is transformation of a clarity of a visibility, a willingness to be vulnerable, but also a clarity of spirit as it comes through them as them. There's also a vessel of water on the table. And water is a symbol of cleansing and renewal. The Native American sweat lodge to the Jewish rites of submersion. The Egyptians used water to make the pyramids level. And it's always a symbol of inner peace, balance of our emotions, and that it nurtures and sustains us. And all of these elements of the fire, the air, the earth, and the water come together in the creative process. Anybody who's taken a foundation class here is well familiar with the metaphor of the seed, the soil, and the plant, right? And yet we know, for myself, and I think most ministers, that when I have a moment of doubt or unsteadiness, I return to the foundations of the science of mind, to that seed, soil, and plant. So in front of you is a Shasta daisy that is representative of this, but it also is that creative process, that transformative process that begins with a seed in the darkness, and it is heat that bursts it forward, that creates that sprout that comes up, and it's nurtured by water and air. And that we know this truth of who we are is the basis of this seed, soil, and plant. And the transformation that happens is the transformation that I know has happened with you during this process of education. That you thought you were just taking classes. But so much more has happened, and I've been able to witness that, as many of the people in your own communities have witnessed. So your hero's journey is near the end. You've met the challenges along the way with the help of mentors and spiritual tools like the hero's journey. And today, let yourself feel the accomplishment of the journey, the flower that has bloomed. Go ahead. You may be seated. So every year, the graduates decide on a commencement speaker and is voted upon. But this year, it wasn't even close. There was like a few people mentioned, but they were real clear that they wanted Reverend Dr. Edward Viljoen. So Dr. Viljoen is the senior minister, the Center for Spiritual Living, Santa Rosa. He is also recently the spiritual director of all the Centers for Spiritual Living from 2019 to 2022. He was instrumental in bringing part of a team that brought the two branches of Centers for Spiritual Living together as one. And like many things that are brought together, it took a lot of work to get there, and it took a lot of work even after things were integrated. That it just in the last year or so feels like we're there. And I appreciate all that you have done to do that. And part of that was coming back and being willing to be our spiritual director, to finish that process, to see us all as one. And I know that's a clarity in your consciousness that is just who you are. And I appreciate it. So let us welcome Reverend Dr. Edward Viljoen.
Oh, gosh, I'm having all my feelings. And I had to stand on my tippy toes to hug that man. He's so tall. Hello, everyone, and hello, graduates. Thank you so much for inviting me to be here with you to talk about, well, your call to ministry and to give you some charges as you go forward. And I bring you greetings from the Seaside Center for Spiritual Living School of Spiritual Leadership and Home Institute. They graduated last weekend. And I was there and I gave them your greetings without even asking you. Because we're colleagues now and we're together, and so I know that you would probably have given me permission to do that. And I want to begin also to echo the congratulations for having concluded this epic journey of studying and enrolling and completing this excellent, intense, detailed course of studying. It occurred to me that completing studies is not necessarily the same as answering a call. It means you got a good education. And our founder didn't even finish high school. Still. Got to thank all the people, we've heard that already, that have been instrumental in you getting to where you are now. And I don't think I heard pets. And employers and family and cousins and sisters and colleagues and besties and all the people, because this is my first charge to you, to make a practice of feeling the love from the structures that support you in this journey. Ooh, it's very important in ministry to nurture support and to acknowledge it and to express gratitude for it, because ministers can sometimes get tunnel vision. You know, we get very focused on our passion. So, support systems are so important. And it occurred to me that having a great support system doesn't necessarily mean the same thing as having a calling. It might just be a fan base. My mother was my one-person fan base my whole life. And what I mean by that is she supported me in every kind of thing that I was passionate about. And I was passionate about all kinds of things. And she just said yes to that. And I discovered that having passions for things is not necessarily the same thing as having a calling. So I better address what is a calling, when does it call, and what do you do with it? So I've done my research on YouTube. No, I'm kidding. I've asked my colleagues, what is a calling, you know? And what's it like? And here's what people in our field have said. Sometimes it's like that unexpected tap on the shoulder. Hey, you. And you go, me? You talking to me? Because I'm just busy serving coffee or raising my children or doing what I'm doing. And then sometimes a calling is like, well, nothing that you can describe with words, and you're not even aware yet that it happened. It kind of sneaks up out of nowhere, and then you find yourself one day enrolled in a class. And then another class. And then another class. Well, one day you're sitting in the School of Spiritual Leadership or something like its equivalent, the Holmes Institute, like I did. My first day in my first class in the School of Ministry in Los Angeles with Dr. Daniel Morgan. And he said, "Why are you here?" And I looked at him and said, "I have no idea." But you, like I, keep showing up anyway. Sometimes wondering when you're going to feel it. That's the second part of the charge. Keep showing up. The way will reveal itself. And then there are moments that you're not certain. Each step will reveal itself. It's the way of things at its appointed time. It brings me to, when can a person expect the call? Well, apparently it comes when it comes and not a moment before or later than that. And sometimes it comes, I've heard, when we are very content with our lives and we are not seeking any change at all. But sometimes it will come after a long moment of restlessness and questioning and inner urgings. Finally it presents itself. Come. And sometimes it comes, like I said earlier, you're just doing your job and bam, there it is. And sometimes it comes when we are too young and inexperienced to know better and to say no. Or sometimes it comes when we're too mature and we don't have the energy or the patience for it. It comes when it's inconvenient and it comes when it's welcomed. In other words, there is no one size fits all for when the call will come, neither for what you will do with it or how you will respond. And sometimes the call is accompanied with, well, some questioning. You know, like Simon Peter, who said, "Who, me? Depart from me, for I am a sinful person." Or like some of the prophets who in summary would say things like, "If you only knew my history." Or some of the questioning comes in the form of like the Moses moment. I can't do this. I've got problems. Or like the John the Baptist moment. Surely I'm not worthy. Or whatever your version might be. Who knows? And the questioning can come right on early in the beginning when you first sense the call coming. On the first day that you become aware, or could be halfway through the school of spiritual leadership. Or sometimes it's 15 years into ministry where you're wondering about investing all of that time and money. Was it the right thing to do? Or like me on the first day of my graduation, like you, standing there in Founders Church on the stage, and the voice in my head says, "What do you think you're doing?" And I think that these are the moments that make a call different to a goal. You know it's a calling when you stay in it, even though the path is steep, or the questioning is loud, or there is no clear path to travel on. You stay in it. You stay in it when the impulse to stay in it is more powerful than the impulse to flee. You stay in it when you begin to realize that this calling has something to do with your soul's longing. And you realize that it has as much to do with your own transformation as it has to do with any great and wonderful good service and teaching you can bring to the world. When you know it's a calling when there really isn't anything you can do to prepare yourself for it. Because it's tailor-made to your soul, by your soul. So, and this is your third charge, so you've got to cultivate peace. You have to have a relationship, maybe you've already made a practice of tuning to the seat of peace within, because every other option is painful. Especially when you respond to a call like ministry that puts you in the center of a rapid and constantly changing landscape. I have to share with you one of my favorite silly jokes. You probably heard it. It's about a man who dies. and goes to the processing plant before entering one place or the other. And this joke has to do with your fourth charge, which is to be rigorously accurate with your expectations and your projections and your guarantees with yourself and also with those people who come to you. So back to the story. There is the man in the processing plant, and he's standing, and as he's waiting to fill out his forms, he sees a sign, "This way heaven, this way hell." So while he's waiting, he thinks he'll take a peek. So he peeks into the window of heaven, and there are all these people in white robes. And there's this serene music that, like spa music. They're walking around, chanting in languages unknown to him. It was pretty nice. And then he goes and peeks over into hell, and there is one heck of a party going on. And there is food, and there is dancing, and every kind of sensual pleasure you can imagine. He looks around, he says, "This is a no-brainer." So he gets his paperwork, and he fills it out, and he says, "I choose hell." And he steps through the door, and all of a sudden it's fire and anguish and pain. And he goes back to the knocks on the door, he says to the processing person, "Where's the party?" And the person says, "Oh, no, that was just the brochure." In ministry, there is such a brochure. Speaking on stage, oh yes, I want to do that. Oh yeah. Teaching, oh yes, I want to raise humanity to its spiritual magnificence. I like that. Yeah. Changing consciousness. I want to change the world. That's the brochure. It's some of the hardest, most soul-searching work I have ever done. It is work that changes a person all the time. It's work that no training and no school anywhere can prepare us for. But oh, it is as beautiful as it is difficult. It is as rewarding as it is demanding, and it is as soul-satisfying as it is frustrating. And if I could choose again, I would choose it again, and again, and again. A missionary society wrote to the explorer David Livingstone with these words: "Have you found a good road to where you are? We want to know how to send some helpers to join you." Livingstone wrote back, "If you have people who will come only on a good road, I don't want them. I want folk who will come when there is no road." Now, I'm not much one for believing in predestination, but I wonder if I could possibly do anything else. And I look at you and I wonder, what a miracle that your call called you and you heard it. In one of the Psalms, it is expressed, and this is a modern rendition: "Lord, you took the fibers of my being and knit them to your will before my birth. You molded and predestined me before I took a breath and gave me all I'd need to walk this earth. You know what I'll say before I say it. You go before me and even follow after me. You place your hand of blessing on my head and on my heart, and it seems too great and glorious to believe. I can never be lost to your spirit. I can never get away from your love. If I go up into heaven or descend to earth below, you are there. If I ride the wings of the morning to the ocean, even there your hand will guide and strengthen me. If I try to hide in darkness, still your light shines through, and you are there. So, beautiful graduates, ready or not, I welcome you to your ministry, and I invite you to throw caution to the wind and say yes to it. Congratulations.
So I have to add this little song. You felt the call of something more. You felt the call to be someone you've never been before. You felt the call of something more. You felt that call, and it was asking, what am I here for? 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 But I want to sing this little song to you. What I wish for you today. I wish for you love. I wish you success. And knowing you are worthy of having it all, you've answered the call to serve your highest good. You've got a power within, and now you'll begin to reach the highest mountain. I wish for you joy, I wish for you peace, but most of all, I wish you love. I wish you love, I wish you love, I wish you love. I wish you love, I wish you love. You have all that you need, all the support to reach the highest mountain. But if you're afraid or feel insecure, your angels are watching over you. Open your heart and trust in your path. God will always guide you. I wish for you joy and peace, but most of all today, I wish you love. I wish you love, I wish you love, I wish you love. I wish you love, I wish you love. And you've got everything inside of you. Nothing's gonna stop you now, there's nothing you can't do. So just state your intentions with a laser beam of light and go out and shine. Just shine, shine. I wish for you love, I wish you success, and knowing you are worthy of having it all. You've answered the call to serve your highest good. Open your heart, trust in your path. Faith will always guide you. I wish for you joy and peace, but most of all today and every day in your ministry, I wish you love. I wish you love, I wish you love now. I wish you love, I wish you love, and joy and peace and happiness, and not getting too crazy when it all gets so crazy that you can just rely on each other And you can call for help, you can call for help. You can say, oh my God, what did I get into? But we're all here for you now. So look around this room, because we're all here for you right now. Everyone put your hands up and do this to them and just say, we're here for you, we're here for you. We wish you love, love, love. We wish you love.
So this is the time in our ceremony today that we will present the stoles and the hoods to each of these graduates individually, because we honor them individually and we want to honor them as a unique person. I did want to use this microphone for a minute and go up here and just talk about the hoods that we will be presenting are representative of the master's degree in Holmes Institute. To receive this, the graduates had to have a bachelor's degree to begin with, and also do extended work, extra classes, to be able to receive a master's degree in consciousness and wisdom. So these are the hoods that will be awarded today. And then in addition, those who graduated from the School of Spiritual Leadership will also receive this beautiful stole that is both the color white, which represents the consciousness and the clarity that they have, and the inner parts are gold, as well as the embroidery that represents the spiritual nature of their consciousness, that they keep close to their heart, their spiritual practice, that they continue to abide in their future life. And then on one side is the science and mind symbol, and on the other side is the oneness symbol. So, of course, you know the science and mind symbol, the teaching symbol that we have. But the oneness symbol is all the symbols, all the different faiths that are part of the faith community in all of the world. And we know that who we are is both an integration and an acceptance and honoring of all faiths. So a memory of that as well. So I think there's been so much said about the call that I would like to paraphrase a Rye Mountain Dreamer in her poem, The Call, because I think it fits this particular group, this particular class so well. As I said, it's a paraphrase of her poem and adapted from hers. The call you have heard probably all your life, a voice calling a name you recognize as your own. Sometimes it comes as a soft belly whispered. Sometimes it holds an edge of urgency. But it always says, wake up, my love. Let yourself be one of the God-mad, faithfully only to the beauty that you are. Let the lover pull you to your feet and hold you close, dancing even when fear urges you to sit this one out. Remember oneness. You are here to say it with your whole being. Give your life to it. Don't be tight-lipped and stingy. Spend yourself completely on it. Be this oneness in this great love poem we are writing together. So one at a time, I will call you as you answer the call that Dr. Edward gave to you, the charge. And you'll do that by simply receiving your stole or your hood as well as your certificate. So the first person I'd like to call forward is Teresa Jenkins, and all those who are introducing her today.
It is my pleasure and honor to introduce to you Teresa Jenkins. a being of multi-talents, multi-facets. Her lifelong spiritual journey, her sacred journey, has taken her deep and wide. Teresa's mother had Creole ancestry, so she was raised as a Catholic and did a lot of work with the Archdiocese of LA early on in her life, including coordinating a huge Catholic conference as the coordinator of African American liturgy at the Anaheim Convention Center for 10,000 people. Her undergraduate degree was in mechanical engineering, and working full-time at the Jet Propulsion Lab in Pasadena, designing and building spacecraft. She also started a Master in Divinity degree at Loyola Marymount, but then moved to the East Coast and enrolled in a Catholic program at the Franciscan Seminary in DC. She knew she could never be a priest, most likely, because she was a woman, but she told me she wanted to learn how to serve. But her spirituality it continued to expand, and her God, she tells me, was bigger than the God that she was being taught about in school, so she left. Eventually, she made her way back to the West Coast, found Science of Mind at the Global Truth Center in Hollywood. She took all of the prerequisite classes for practitioner training, everything they offered. Met her future wife, Mary Beth Watt, at a wedding in the Bay Area. Eventually, they moved to Oregon in 2015. In 2016, were married, and I am grateful they found their way to the Center for Spiritual Living in Rogue Valley, where I am the spiritual director. Teresa then had to retake all of her prerequisite courses because they were too old, according to our rules. And before she finished Prac 2, she enrolled also in the Holmes Institute, much to my wonderment, but she did it. One of the most important, I think, classes she took was one that was offered for the very first time at Holmes Institute. It was called African American Diasporic Spiritualities. And she told me that she learned, to her surprise and her delight, that there were ancient African spiritualities that were passed down in oral tradition, and there were sacred texts, and one of them, called Ifa, originated with the Yoruba people in Nigeria. Teresa is part Nigerian. She resonated, and while she was doing this master's degree, she traveled several times to the Southwest to be initiated as a priest in the Ifa tradition. Her priest name is Iyanifa Fawala Ola. And she says that this tradition is also metaphysical, so there are many similarities with Science of Mind. And I got to tell you, as I close here, that this woman not only was my student, but a big support to me throughout her studies, amazingly so, at the Y in Ashland, where she is a personal trainer. By the way, she has a black belt in, Hapkido. When she first met Mary Beth, how they got involved was that she offered to teach Mary Beth kickboxing. But at the Y in Ashland, Teresa is known as the Y chaplain. She is called that, even though she may not have officially. So again, with great affection, my friend, my student, my teacher, engineer, artist, chaplain, and priest, Iyanifa Falalawola. Teresa.
Now I'd like to call up Paul Michael Domalewski and those who will introduce him. So we actually have a video from Reverend Nan Bankston to introduce Paul.
Good afternoon. I'm Reverend Nan Bankston, and I can't be at the graduation in person, but through the wonders of technology, I'm so happy and proud to introduce Paul Domaleski on his graduation day and share a few words about how truly special he is. Paul and I first met online when we were taking a distance class through Holmes Institute. I was a ministerial student at the Encinitas campus at Seaside, and Paul was a student at the Santa Rosa campus that now has moved to Napa. And we often connected through the forums for various classes and shared thoughts and ideas about the topics at hand. I always enjoyed conversing with Paul and realized early on that he was a no-holds-barred Ernest Holmes and Science of Mind devotee. In September of 2019, we both attended the all-campus retreat outside LA. Of course, that was pre-COVID, and little did any of us know how profoundly our lives would change in just a short time. When Paul walked across the campus and we recognized each other, his smile lit up the whole patio and my heart. It was the beginning of a wonderful adventure to walk this ministerial path with Paul. As the months rolled by, Paul and I began to have weekly chats. And it was great for both of us because we could consider class topics if we were still in the same class. Or, after I graduated in 2020, we continued to meet, and it was my delight to keep bringing Paul back to the center of his truth as he continued through several classes, kicking and screaming and thinking he would quit. The truth is, all of us who have moved through ministerial education processes and those who are doing so right now have at least a partial eclipse of the light of our inner GPS, our divine guidance system at some point. And we all think about quitting. Might only be for a moment, but we all have those moments. And having been through those darker moments in school and knowing they were thresholds of consciousness, I asked Paul to make an agreement with me that he wouldn't quit until we had a conversation about doing so. You know, academic education for Paul has been no small accomplishment. In spite of, or perhaps because of the gift of his dyslexia experience, Paul excelled once he remembered his sacred yes to the call of Spirit on his life. As he continued with his classes and found new interests in spiritual expression, I offered him a couple of outlets for that. I gave him the opportunity to lead an online meditation group during COVID, and the senior minister at the center that I had initiated that at supported Paul in continuing that after I left that center to become senior minister in Visalia. Paul had the opportunity to co-facilitate an online certificated class for some students I had in Visalia after I became the senior minister at that center. And I must add that he grabbed his opportunities with joy, an open heart, and an open mind that was and is continuously thirsty for learning and sharing our philosophy of science of mind. During the course of his studies, Paul developed a wonderful habit of reaching out to and communicating with people all over the world in our organization and others. His curiosity and inner desire to connect with all people is part of his ministry. Even as Paul tends his community garden in San Francisco, he shares science of mind wisdom with so many folks, many of whom are just passing by. Paul already has an amazing walking ministry, simply touching the lives of people he meets anywhere. And incidentally, Paul's also a walking encyclopedia of Ernest Holmes quotes. He continuously amazes me because he can use a quote and tell me exactly when, where, and how it was used. And he's also a wizard of inspirational videos. I am certain that his talents, knowledge, and love for this philosophy and faith will serve Science of Mind as we continue to grow our organization worldwide. Paul has a huge ministerial heart filled with love, peace, and moreover, compassion and kindness for all creation. I can't think of a better person to be part of our Centers for Spiritual Living vision of co-creating a world that works for all. I am so proud of you, and here's a big virtual hug, just for you. You celebrate well today, my dear. You've earned it, and so it is.
I call to the stage Teresa Lynn Gardner and those to introduce her.
More the merrier. There you are. Her heart is timeless, boundless. She wears it on her sleeve, in her eyes. It's the first thing she says to everyone she meets, without her even needing to realize it. She simply can't hide it. We've all experienced it. This has been the same of Teresa from the time I met her. It has not changed. How she holds herself, however, well, that has moved light years. This has not happened by chance or by fate or by simply living more years. It is the product of the work she has done over the course of her entire life, from long before she was conscious of her commitment to do so, to shift the reflection she sees in the mirror from the funhouse version, rendered liberally by the programming derived from her false self-beliefs, to a truer and truer view, a clearer view. No matter how insidious her time in the trenches, she has stayed the course. She comes now to a place where the work is so much less encumbered, where she can begin to embrace all her travels to this point. I know of no other training for us humans to prepare to support others in their own such endeavors than such a powerful commitment to one's own work. I certainly can't know her ministry and how it will unfold, but I do know this, however, that the hand on the tiller is her faith and her knowing, and that she and all who are drawn to her will be blessed, truly blessed. Teresa Gardner.
Now I call to the stage Allie Hutchinson. And Allie's going to be introduced also by a video by practitioner Robin Rice Olmsted.
Hi, I am so honored to be here today to present to you Elena Hutchinson, who has finished Holmes Institute ministerial training and is moving on to be a minister in the Greater Centers for Spiritual Living. I am so excited. I am so excited to have been part of this journey since Elena was a wee congregant. Who knew? Who knew that this was coming? Anyway, I thought it was appropriate to present Elena from Costa Rica because I'm sitting here in the rainforest listening to all the animals and birds. And the other day I heard the tour guide say in the midst of this symphony of bird cries, "Oh, I hear a toucan." And I thought, how did she know? There's a toucan. But that's Elena. Elena sees each person individually. She is all about diversity, inclusion, fairness, equality, and just truly knowing people for who they are and meeting them where they are. She is integrity in motion. And I'm just so honored to walk this journey with her. Now, I could tell you some funny stories, but she's paid me very highly not to. So, it is with that that I'll let you know her sense of humor is also pivotal to this job. And so I'm so glad that she brings it all together in the way that only Elena Hutchinson can. And so I say to you, Elena, congratulations. I wish I was there, but you know I'm there in spirit.
And last but not least, I invite to the stage Laura Ann Stewart and all those who will introduce her.
Laura's path to ministry started when she was 8 years old. She was a good little Catholic girl, going to parochial school. And then one day she said to the priest, "I want to be a priest." "Oh, honey, you can be a nun." Well, she looked at that and didn't quite work for her. No. But the call happened way back then. A lot of things happened since then. So one of the things that happened not terribly long after that, she and her family moved to Japan. And she started looking at all of these really wonderful new friends she was meeting in the light of the teaching she had had in her good Catholic upbringing about only those of us on this path, in this church, in this country, were going to heaven. And those people, too bad. They're not gonna. And that didn't work for her either. So fortunately, with the blessings of her parents, she studied some other religions and began to explore what Buddhism was, what Hinduism was, what other traditions taught about the nature of God, the nature of our relationship to God. So it wasn't until 2004, she was dating this sexy man, her husband Greg now. And Greg's mother, Diane, was a Science of Mind practitioner for many years and opened the door to the Science of Mind philosophy. And this girl dove right in. She took every class, every workshop. And it might be the thing you were talking about, Dr. Edward, of it just like she just kept taking classes and then here she is going to ministry. But you know, she's a member of the same church I'm a member of, Reverend Kimberly. Where's she? Right there. She was the senior minister in Medford, Oregon. And I have watched through her ministerial journey, her consciousness open like a flower. And her vision of ministry is way outside the walls of a church. And I think for our community, it will blow us wide open to really be in the community, serving the people around us. And she's bringing our whole congregation with her, so we're in for this. I present to you Laura Stewart. How do you do this?
Laura is receiving both a stole for her completion in the School of Spiritual Leadership with a certificate in ministerial education, but also a master's degree from the Holmes Institute.
So I had one song picked, but all of a sudden I think I want to sing this to you because this is truly, in hearing all of your stories, I know this to be true, that you are the heart. You are the hands. And you are now the voice of spirit on earth. And who you are and all that you're going to do in your ministry is a blessing to each of us and the world. You are the heart, you are the hands, you are the voice of spirit on earth, and who you are and all you do is a blessing to the world. Can you join me on that? You are the heart. You are the heart. You are the hands. You are the hands, the voice. You are the voice of spirit. Spirit on earth, and who you are, and who you are, all you do. And all you do is a blessing to the world. You got it. Sing it out there. You are the heart, you are the hands, you are the voice of spirit on earth, and who you are, and all you do is a blessing to the world. Can we do something kind of radical and have you guys stand up and look and everybody sing to them? You just turn around and have everybody sing to you. You are the heart, you are the hands, you are, just receive it from everybody. You are the voice of spirit, spirit on earth, and who you are, and who you, all you do, and all you do is a blessing to the world. Sing that again. You are the heart, you are the heart, you are the hands, you are the voice, you are the voice of spirit on earth, who you are, and who you are, all you do, and all you do is a blessing to the... Now, graduates, can you just bring this into a prayer and say, I. Put your hand over your heart even. I am the heart, I am the hands, I am the voice of spirit on earth, who I am and who I am, and all I do is a blessing to the world. I'm a blessing, I'm a blessing to the world. You're a blessing, you're a blessing to the world.
If I could have the graduates come up one more time, stand behind the table. So there's some you have an obligation to certain vows. It's easier sometimes, right? More than 5 syllables. Just to answer the call in this way. Now, as ministerial graduates and future ministers, it is the consciousness that's important. So instead of committing an I do, you're answering with an I am, the I am consciousness to the following questions. So I ask for the first 2 questions to all 5 of you. Do you accept these wisdom principles and promise to adhere to them and make them the basis of your life? Do you dedicate yourself that you will be constantly aware of the Spirit within all people and yourself, and you will see only the perfect spiritual person, perfect in mind, body, and spirit? And for the ministerial graduates, do you so consecrate yourself to this ministry so you will do your utmost at all times to reflect the Spirit within in all that you think, say, and do. And do promise to minister faithfully and lovingly to the people now committed to your charge, and seek ever to be an example of mindfulness, consideration, and loving kindness. And I turn to all of you who have been an important part of mentoring, supporting, probably occasional phone calls with tears and exasperation. You're an important part of why they made it here. Yet their journey is not finished. In fact, they have a chance to celebrate today, and it continues with a new journey. So I ask that you continue to be in their lives, continue to be a support, continue to be a listening ear. So I ask you, are you willing to continue to support and love them through this process? Great, great. Thank you. And to finish the today with our ritual, what we know about ministry that we can all attest to is self-care is critically important. And so the water that's there is, as I mentioned, a symbol of renewal. But use water in your life to renew, refresh, and also to nurture yourself, knowing that it is the living water of Spirit that's ever renewing. So I ask at this moment to each take the water, starting with Teresa, to take the pitcher of water and just water your plant in recognition of the self-care that's important for you to do during your ministry. The crystal that is in front of you is also yours to take with you, to remember not only of the transformation that you have been through in the last few years, but the transformation that continues when you're willing and you're humble and surrender to Spirit in the greater knowingness. We also know that the flame that's before you, the candle, is just a symbol of the fire that is within. So in a moment, I'm going to ask you to blow those out, not that there is anything less than what you are in this moment, but in fact that it continues to be within you. And the smoke that rises up are your prayers that continue to be for your future ministry and your future knowingness that is. So at this time, you can go ahead and blow out your candles. So you have crossed the threshold. You have made your certificate, your master's degree and all. So by the power of God and the authority of the Centers for Spiritual Living vested in me, I do hereby declare the official completion of your ministerial training and your Holmes Institute education. I confer upon you as appropriate the Master's in Consciousness, Certificate in Spiritual Education, or Certificate in Spiritual Studies. And know that you are well trained in deep consciousness to become spiritual leaders in the world. Congratulations. You may move your tassels over, and let's all stand. Pictures, anybody? Okay. You may go ahead and be seated at this time. So as we wrap up this ceremony, I just want to first of all invite all of you to the reception. There is plenty of food over there. I also want to acknowledge the School of Spiritual Leadership at this time and invite all practitioners that you're able to take classes, even if you're in the exploratory phase of wondering if you want to be a minister, or for the CEU credit for relicensures. And by the way, Dr. Edward, I appreciate you telling them about the brochure. We often give this brochure to get people to come to the School of Spiritual Leadership, so thank you. That was the inside part. You weren't supposed to tell them, though. I also want to take the time to thank all of you for being here today and supporting these ministerial graduates. I want to thank the Oakland Center for Spiritual Living for being our host today, for all the volunteers. And I don't know how many members of that community are here, but I hope you know how blessed you are with Reverend Dr. Michelle. She is... She is respected outside of this community as well as a woman of power and love and compassion. So we bless you and congratulations on this. We appreciate all of the officiating and ministers and lay people who put stoles and hoods on. And we also honor Dr. Edward for your beautiful commencement today. And Karen. You do, I always say you're the soundtrack of my life. I think you're the soundtrack of everybody's life. And you always seem to know the right songs to play at the right time, so thank you. And now we have the benediction by Reverend D. Jacqueline Edwards, followed by the recession. And please, wait till the recession is complete before you leave.
And a fabulously wonderful time was had by all. Absolutely, absolutely. And so I invite you to join me in doing what we know to do, and we like to say we go within. And as we go within, we allow ourselves to just say a hoorah, a yay, a thank you, thank you, thank you. Mother, Father, God, thank you, Oludumare, for the yes of these five that are stepping really into they know not what. But yes, they said yes, they said yes. And so it is with a humble sense of deep, deep, deep gratitude, both for their yes and for each and every one of us that supports them in any and every way that comes to mind for our own yes to the yes. It is with a deep and humble sense of gratitude for all of the ancestors called forth earlier in this service that continue to not only stand with, but lift up each one of these individuals who have come forth for such a time as this. I bless the food that we are about to partake of. I bless the hands that prepared it. I bless and am grateful for the ways in which it nourishes every cell and fiber of our bodies and being, and for the way in which it serves as the vessel for the sweet, sweet conversation, for the interacting, for the loving, for the simply being. Knowing that each and every one of us leaves this place going forth into our greater yet to be, going forth as co-creators of that world that works for everyone. I say thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Oludumare, God the good, to which there is no opposite. I say thank you, thank you. I release this word to the immutable, perfect, and impeccable law that always and in always simply says yes. And if you agree with any syllables said here, any part of this service today, any part of this recognition of these loving God beings that again and again and again continue to say yes, I invite you to join me in closing out this service by collectively declaring Ashe, Amen, Aho, and so it is. Thank you.
Please stand for the recession at this time.
And in this moment, in this place, I remember who I am, letting fear and worry just fall away from me. I open my heart and I can see there is only love. There is only love, sweet love. It's a love that will heal. Love will set us all free. There is only love. And there is only love. There is only love, love, love now. It's a love that heals, love that sets me free. There is only love. There is only love. Right now, there's only love. Thank you. Thank you, Miles. Thank you all.